Picture this. You're standing in the center of a massive stone circle on England's Salisbury Plain at dawn on the summer solstice. The first rays of sunlight pierce through the ancient trilithons, casting long shadows across the grass. But as you close your eyes and listen, something extraordinary happens. The stones themselves seem to sing. Your whispered words echo and amplify in ways that defy explanation. The very rocks appear to be tuned to specific frequencies, creating an acoustic phenomenon that modern scientists are only just beginning to understand. This is Stonehenge, and tonight we're going to unravel one of archaeology's most fascinating mysteries. Was this iconic monument designed as an acoustic masterpiece, an ancient calendar, or perhaps something far more remarkable than either? But before we journey back 5,000 years to walk among our Neolithic ancestors, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. The algorithms of the digital age are as mysterious as the ancient stones themselves, and without your support, this channel might vanish into the virtual void, lost like so many secrets of the past. Ring that notification bell too, because we're constantly uncovering new stories from history's hidden corners. Tales that will transport you to distant times and places as you drift off to sleep. Now settle back into your pillows. Let your breathing slow and deepen, and prepare to be transported to a time when the world was younger, when the boundary between earth and sky seemed thinner, and when our ancestors possessed knowledge that continues to astound us today. The story of Stonehenge begins not with the massive sarsen stones that dominate the landscape today, but in a much earlier time, around 3100 BCE, when the first earthwork was carved into the chalk downs of Wiltshire. Imagine the landscape then, vast forests of oak and ash stretched across much of Britain, broken by clearings where small communities of Neolithic farmers had begun to tame the wilderness. These early inhabitants had already learned to work stone and wood with remarkable precision, to observe the movements of celestial bodies, and to organize themselves in ways that allowed for massive communal projects. The earliest phase of Stonehenge was elegantly simple, yet profoundly significant. A circular earthwork enclosure, known as a henge, was dug into the ground. This consisted of a ditch approximately 110 meters in diameter, with the excavated chalk piled up to form a bank on the inner side. Within this sacred boundary, our ancestors placed 56 mysterious pits, now known as the Aubrey Holes after John Aubrey, the 17th century antiquarian who first documented them. These holes, arranged in a precise circle, held cremated human remains, making Stonehenge Britain's earliest known cremation cemetery. But even in this earliest incarnation, there were hints of the acoustic properties that would later make Stonehenge so remarkable. The circular earthwork itself would have created a natural amphitheater effect, containing and amplifying sounds within its boundaries while muffling noise from the outside world. Archaeological experiments have shown that even a simple earthwork henge can dramatically alter the acoustic environment, creating a sense of acoustic separation from the surrounding landscape that would have enhanced any ritual or ceremonial activities taking place within. For nearly 500 years, Stonehenge remained in this simple yet powerful form. The Aubrey Holes continued to receive burials, and evidence suggests that the site was continuously used for ceremonies and gatherings. During this time, the monument's builders were already demonstrating sophisticated understanding of both astronomy and acoustics, though the full expression of these sciences would come later. Around 2600 BCE, the second major phase of construction began, and it was during this period that Stonehenge truly began to reveal its dual nature as both astronomical calculator and acoustic instrument. The famous bluestones were transported from the Preseli Hills in Wales, a journey of over 150 miles that required extraordinary organization and effort. These stones, each weighing between 2 and 4 tons, were arranged in a double circle within the earthwork enclosure. The choice of bluestones was not arbitrary. These particular stones, composed primarily of spotted dolerite, rhyolite, and volcanic ash, possess unique acoustic properties that set them apart from local stone. When struck, many of the bluestones produce clear, ringing tones, almost like bells. This discovery has led researchers to speculate that our Neolithic ancestors were well aware of these acoustic qualities and specifically chose these stones for their musical properties. Dr. Paul Devereux, a researcher who has extensively studied the acoustic properties of ancient monuments, conducted fascinating experiments with the bluestones. He found that many of them, when tapped with a hammerstone, produce distinctive metallic ringing sounds that can be heard clearly across considerable distances. Some stones produce multiple tones, creating complex harmonies when struck in sequence. This suggests that the bluestones may have been selected not just for their durability or appearance, but as components in a vast stone instrument. The transportation of these musical stones from Wales to Salisbury Plain represents one of the greatest logistical achievements of prehistoric Britain. Recent research suggests that the stones were likely moved by a combination of overland dragging and water transport, possibly following ancient trackways and river systems. The effort required would have involved hundreds of people working in coordination over many months, perhaps years. This massive undertaking suggests that the acoustic properties of the bluestones were considered essential to the monument's function. But the bluestones were only the beginning of Stonehenge's acoustic evolution. Around 2500 BCE, the monument underwent its most dramatic transformation with the arrival of the massive sarsen stones that define its appearance today. These local sandstone giants, some weighing as much as 50 tons, were shaped and positioned with extraordinary precision to create the iconic trilithons and outer circle that have captured imaginations for millennia. The acoustic implications of this final construction phase were profound. The arrangement of the sarsen stones created a complex acoustic environment that modern sound engineers are still trying to fully understand. The massive trilithons, with their carefully shaped uprights and precisely fitted lintels, form acoustic barriers that channel and focus sound waves in specific directions. Within the stone circle, certain positions exhibit remarkable acoustic properties. A person standing at the center can speak in a normal voice and be heard clearly throughout the interior, while sounds from outside are significantly dampened. Recent acoustic studies using sophisticated measuring equipment have revealed that Stonehenge exhibits what scientists call non-reciprocal acoustics. This means that sounds behave differently depending on where they originate and where they're received within the monument. A voice speaking from the center of the circle carries much more effectively to the outer edges than a voice speaking from the perimeter carries inward. This suggests that the monument was designed with specific acoustic roles in mind, perhaps distinguishing between speakers and listeners, or between those conducting ceremonies and those participating in them. The frequency response of Stonehenge is equally intriguing. The stone circle appears to naturally amplify sounds in the range of human speech, while suppressing higher frequencies. This would have had the effect of making voices sound deeper and more resonant within the monument, potentially adding an element of otherworldly gravitas to spoken words. The acoustic properties would have been even more pronounced when the monument was complete, with all lintels in place forming an enclosed space. But Stonehenge's acoustic properties extend beyond simple amplification. The monument demonstrates sophisticated understanding of reverberation and echo effects. Sounds produced within the circle don't simply bounce back as echoes. Instead, they seem to be absorbed and redistributed by the stones in complex ways. This creates an acoustic environment that would have been ideal for chanting, singing, or ritualistic speaking, where the stones themselves become participants in the sonic experience. Dr. Bruno Fazenda, an acoustic engineer who has conducted extensive studies at Stonehenge, describes the experience of being inside the monument as acoustically transformative. Even in its current incomplete state, with many of the original stones missing, the acoustic properties remain remarkable. He notes that the monument creates a sense of acoustic intimacy despite its massive scale, making it feel like a much smaller, more enclosed space than its physical dimensions would suggest. These acoustic discoveries raise fascinating questions about how Stonehenge was actually used by its builders. The monument's sound properties suggest it was designed for gatherings where acoustic communication was paramount. Perhaps these were teaching sessions where knowledge was passed down through oral tradition, storytelling events where epic tales were recounted, or musical performances where the stones themselves formed part of the instrument. Some researchers have proposed that Stonehenge functioned as a kind of prehistoric concert hall, where the acoustic properties were as important as any astronomical alignments. They point to evidence from other cultures where stone circles and megalithic monuments were used for musical and acoustic purposes. In many traditional societies, music and astronomy are closely linked, with cosmic cycles being marked and remembered through songs and chants. The idea of Stonehenge as an acoustic instrument gains additional support from the discovery of what archaeologists call sound stones at various points around the monument. These are smaller stones that, when struck, produce clear musical tones. They appear to have been deliberately placed to create specific acoustic effects within the larger stone circle. Some of these sound stones are tuned to harmonious intervals, suggesting sophisticated understanding of musical relationships. But even as the acoustic evidence mounts, we cannot ignore Stonehenge's equally compelling astronomical credentials. The monument's alignment with celestial events has been recognized for centuries, and modern archaeological astronomy has revealed layers of astronomical sophistication that rival the acoustic discoveries. The most famous of Stonehenge's astronomical alignments is its orientation toward the summer solstice sunrise. Standing at the center of the monument and looking northeast through the entrance, the sun rises directly over the heel stone on the morning of the summer solstice, around June 21st. This alignment is so precise that it continues to work today, nearly 5,000 years after the monument's construction, despite small changes in the Earth's axial tilt over the millennia. But the summer solstice alignment is just the beginning of Stonehenge's astronomical story. The monument also marks the winter solstice sunset, when the sun sets in the southwest as viewed from the center of the circle. This dual solar alignment creates a cosmic axis that divides the year into its two primary phases: the bright half when days are longer than nights, and the dark half when nights predominate. These solar alignments would have had profound practical importance for Neolithic farmers. The summer solstice marked the height of the growing season, while the winter solstice signaled the return of lengthening days and the promise of spring. By encoding these crucial dates into their monument, the builders of Stonehenge were creating a permanent calendar that would serve their community for generations. But Stonehenge's astronomical sophistication extends far beyond simple solar observations. Recent research has revealed that the monument also tracks complex lunar cycles, including the 18.6-year cycle of lunar standstills. During this cycle, the moon's rising and setting positions oscillate between their extreme northern and southern points on the horizon. The builders of Stonehenge incorporated these lunar extremes into their monument's design, allowing them to predict not only when eclipses might occur, but also to track the subtle variations in the moon's behavior over nearly 2 decades. The famous station stones, 4 sarsens placed in a rectangular arrangement within the monument, appear to be key components of this lunar tracking system. Lines drawn between these stones point to the extreme rising and setting positions of both the sun and moon, creating a kind of prehistoric plotting board for astronomical observations. The precision of these alignments suggests that the builders possessed detailed knowledge of celestial mechanics that took generations to accumulate. Gerald Hawkins, the astronomer who pioneered the modern study of Stonehenge's astronomical alignments, proposed that the monument functioned as a kind of Neolithic computer for predicting eclipses. His calculations suggested that the 56 Aubrey holes could be used with movable markers to track the complex cycles that determine when eclipses occur. While not all archaeologists accept this interpretation, it demonstrates the level of mathematical sophistication that Stonehenge's design appears to contain. The astronomical capabilities of Stonehenge become even more impressive when we consider the monument's relationship to other stone circles and megalithic monuments across Britain and Europe. Many of these sites share similar astronomical alignments, suggesting that Neolithic astronomers had developed standardized methods for encoding celestial observations in stone. Stonehenge appears to be not just a local calendar, but part of a network of monuments that together formed a landscape-scale astronomical observatory. Dr. Clive Ruggles, one of the world's leading experts in archaeological astronomy, has spent decades studying how ancient peoples incorporated astronomical knowledge into their monuments. His work at Stonehenge and other sites reveals that Neolithic astronomers were not simply noting the occasional dramatic celestial event, but were systematically tracking multiple cycles simultaneously. They understood that the movements of the sun, moon, and stars followed predictable patterns that could be used to organize human activities and mark the passage of time. The question of whether these astronomical alignments were intentional or coincidental has been thoroughly settled by statistical analysis. The probability that Stonehenge's multiple astronomical alignments occurred by chance is vanishingly small. The monument was undoubtedly designed with astronomical purposes in mind, representing one of humanity's earliest systematic attempts to understand and predict celestial phenomena. But as we delve deeper into Stonehenge's astronomical credentials, we must ask whether its calendar function necessarily excludes its acoustic properties, or whether these two aspects of the monument might be intimately connected. In many ancient cultures, astronomical events were marked not just by visual observation, but by specific sounds, songs, or chants. The acoustic properties of Stonehenge may have been designed to enhance the sonic marking of celestial events. Imagine the scene on the morning of the summer solstice 5,000 years ago. As the sun rises over the heelstone, its light floods into the stone circle, illuminating the faces of hundreds of people gathered for the ceremony. At the moment of sunrise, voices are raised in song or chant, and the acoustic properties of the stones amplify and enhance these sounds, creating an audio-visual experience that combines the precision of astronomical observation with the emotional power of collective music making. This integration of acoustic and astronomical functions may explain some of the monument's more puzzling features. The careful shaping of the sarsen stones, for instance, serves both acoustic and astronomical purposes. The smooth inner faces of the trilithons would have provided excellent surfaces for sound reflection, while their precise positioning creates the sight lines necessary for astronomical observation. Similarly, the choice of bluestones may reflect both acoustic and astronomical considerations. Their ringing tones would have provided a sonic component to ceremonies, while their relatively small size made them ideal for creating complex internal arrangements that could mark specific astronomical events. The fact that these stones were brought from Wales, a region known for its rich astronomical traditions, suggests that their selection involved both practical and symbolic considerations. Recent archaeological discoveries have added new dimensions to our understanding of how Stonehenge functioned as both acoustic instrument and astronomical calendar. Excavations in the surrounding landscape have revealed a complex of related monuments, including timber circles, burial mounds, and processional avenues that together formed an integrated sacred landscape. The avenue, a parallel ditched pathway that connects Stonehenge to the River Avon, follows the same alignment as the summer solstice sunrise. This suggests that the monument was approached along an astronomically significant route, with the journey itself forming part of the ceremonial experience. As processions moved along the avenue towards Stonehenge, participants would have experienced a gradual acoustic transition from the open soundscape of the surrounding plain to the contained acoustic environment within the stone circle. The cursus, a long rectangular earthwork that runs for nearly 2 miles near Stonehenge, may also have had both acoustic and astronomical functions. Its orientation appears to mark significant lunar events, while its shape would have created acoustic effects similar to those found in other long monuments. Some researchers have suggested that the cursus functioned as a kind of prehistoric sound tunnel, channeling and amplifying sounds across great distances. These discoveries suggest that Stonehenge was not an isolated monument, but the centerpiece of a larger landscape designed around both acoustic and astronomical principles. The various elements work together to create an environment where sound and sky were intimately connected, where the movements of celestial bodies could be marked and celebrated through carefully orchestrated acoustic experiences. The integration of acoustic and astronomical functions at Stonehenge reflects a worldview common to many ancient cultures, where sound and cosmos were seen as fundamentally connected. In ancient Chinese philosophy, the concept of the music of the spheres held that celestial bodies produced sounds as they moved through the heavens. Similar ideas appeared in ancient Greek thought, where mathematicians like Pythagoras explored the relationships between musical harmony and cosmic order. For the builders of Stonehenge, the connection between sound and astronomy may have been even more direct. Many traditional cultures use sound as a way of marking time, with specific chants, songs, or instrumental pieces associated with particular seasons, lunar phases, or stellar positions. The acoustic properties of Stonehenge would have made it an ideal venue for such time-marking practices, allowing large groups of people to participate in synchronized sonic ceremonies that reinforced their connection to cosmic cycles. The question of which function came first, acoustic or astronomical, may be less important than recognizing how thoroughly integrated these aspects were in the monument's design and use. Rather than choosing between Stonehenge as acoustic masterpiece or ancient calendar, we might better understand it as a sophisticated instrument that used sound to enhance astronomical observation and used astronomical knowledge to time acoustic performances. This integration is perhaps most clearly visible in the monument's relationship to seasonal cycles. The acoustic properties of stone change with temperature and humidity, meaning that Stonehenge would have sounded different at different times of year. In the cold, dry air of winter, sounds would have carried more clearly and echoed more sharply. In the warm, humid conditions of summer, the acoustic environment would have been softer and more mellow. These seasonal acoustic variations would have provided an additional layer of temporal information, reinforcing the monument's function as a calendar through sensory experience as well as visual observation. The builders of Stonehenge also appear to have understood that different types of ceremonies might require different acoustic environments. The various phases of construction suggest that the monument's acoustic properties were deliberately modified over time, perhaps to accommodate changing ritual practices or growing populations. The addition of the massive sarsen stones in the final phase dramatically altered the acoustic environment, creating a more enclosed and intimate space than had existed with the bluestones alone. Modern acoustic modeling has revealed that the complete Stonehenge, with all its lintels in place, would have created an even more remarkable acoustic environment than we can experience today. The enclosed space would have had reverberation times optimal for both speech and music, while the stone circle would have acted as an acoustic lens, focusing sound toward the center while isolating the interior from external noise. These acoustic qualities would have made Stonehenge an ideal venue for the transmission of oral knowledge. In cultures without written language, the accurate preservation and transmission of important information depends heavily on memory techniques enhanced by rhythm, melody, and acoustic reinforcement. The acoustic properties of Stonehenge would have created perfect conditions for teaching and learning the complex astronomical knowledge encoded in the monument's design. Archaeological evidence supports this interpretation. The discovery of sophisticated mathematical relationships in Stonehenge's dimensions suggests that its builders possessed detailed knowledge of geometry, astronomy, and engineering that would have required systematic teaching and learning over many generations. The monument itself may have functioned as both the repository of this knowledge and the classroom where it was transmitted to new generations of astronomer priests. The social implications of Stonehenge's dual function as acoustic instrument and astronomical calendar are profound. The monument represents one of humanity's earliest examples of what we might call big science, a project requiring the coordination of specialized knowledge, skilled labor, and massive resources over extended periods. The acoustic and astronomical sophistication of the result suggests that Neolithic society was capable of supporting a class of specialist knowledge keepers who devoted their lives to understanding the movements of celestial bodies and the properties of sound. These specialists would have wielded considerable social power, as their knowledge was essential for determining when to plant crops, when to hold ceremonies, and when important celestial events would occur. The acoustic properties of Stonehenge would have enhanced their authority, allowing them to address large gatherings with voices that seemed supernaturally enhanced by the stones themselves. But Stonehenge also represents something more democratic, a monument where astronomical knowledge was made accessible to entire communities through shared acoustic experiences. Rather than keeping celestial wisdom locked away in private chambers, the builders created a space where hundreds or even thousands of people could gather to witness and participate in astronomical ceremonies, enhanced by the monument's acoustic properties. This combination of specialized knowledge and community participation may help explain the extraordinary longevity of Stonehenge as an active ceremonial site. Archaeological evidence suggests that the monument was continuously used for over 1,500 years, an astonishing span that represents dozens of human generations. Such continuity suggests that the monument successfully fulfilled both its technical functions as calendar and acoustic instrument, and its social functions as a gathering place that brought communities together around shared experiences of sound and sky. The decline of Stonehenge as an active ceremonial centre, beginning around 1600 BCE, coincides with broader changes in British society, including the rise of metalworking, increased social stratification, and new forms of religious expression. As bronze tools replaced stone implements and new burial practices superseded cremation, the knowledge systems encoded in Stonehenge may have become less relevant to daily life. But the monument's acoustic and astronomical properties ensured its continued fascination for later cultures. Roman writers described Stonehenge as a temple of Apollo, the god of music and the sun, suggesting that they recognized both its acoustic and solar significance. Medieval chroniclers attributed the monument to Merlin, the legendary wizard whose magical powers combined wisdom about the natural world with supernatural abilities, a characterization that may reflect dim cultural memories of the astronomer priests who once used the monument. Modern scientific investigation has revealed layers of sophistication in Stonehenge that even its most enthusiastic earlier interpreters could hardly have imagined. The monument emerges not as a simple temple or burial ground, but as a complex instrument designed to integrate acoustic and astronomical phenomena in ways that enhanced both practical knowledge and spiritual experience. The acoustic research has shown that Stonehenge was carefully designed to create specific sound environments that would have enhanced speech, music, and ritual activities. The monument demonstrates sophisticated understanding of how stone structures can be used to manipulate sound waves, creating acoustic effects that seem almost magical to those who experience them without understanding the underlying principles. The astronomical research has revealed equally impressive sophistication, showing that Stonehenge encoded detailed knowledge of solar and lunar cycles that allowed its users to predict celestial events with remarkable accuracy. The monument represents one of humanity's earliest systematic attempts to understand and model the movements of celestial bodies, laying foundations for the astronomical knowledge that would later flourish in ancient Greece, Egypt, and Mesopotamia. But perhaps most remarkably, recent research suggests that these acoustic and astronomical functions were not separate aspects of the monument, but intimately integrated features of a single, coherent design. Stonehenge was built as an instrument that used sound to enhance astronomical observation and used astronomical knowledge to organize acoustic performances. This integration reflects a worldview that modern science is only beginning to recapture, an understanding that the universe is fundamentally acoustic as well as visual, that sound and light are different manifestations of the same underlying patterns that govern both cosmic and terrestrial phenomena. The builders of Stonehenge created a monument that allowed them to participate directly in what they understood as the cosmic harmony that connects earthly sounds with celestial movements. As we lie here in the quiet darkness, thousands of years removed from the ceremonies that once brought Stonehenge to life, we can still appreciate the vision of its builders. They created something that was simultaneously practical and transcendent. A calendar that was also a musical instrument, an observatory that was also a temple, a monument that demonstrated humanity's capacity to find pattern and meaning in the apparent chaos of natural phenomena. The stones still stand on Salisbury Plain, weathered by 5 millennia of wind and rain, but retaining their essential form and function. On clear nights, the same stars that guided Stonehenge's builders still wheel overhead, and the sun continues to rise precisely where they calculated it would, marking the eternal rhythm of the seasons with mechanical precision. Modern visitors to Stonehenge often report feeling a sense of connection to something larger than themselves, an experience that transcends the merely intellectual appreciation of the monument's technical achievements. This emotional response may reflect the same acoustic and astronomical effects that moved the monument's original users, suggesting that Stonehenge continues to function as its builders intended, as a bridge between human consciousness and cosmic order. The question of whether Stonehenge is primarily an acoustic masterpiece or an ancient calendar may ultimately be less important than recognizing it as evidence of humanity's ancient and continuing desire to find harmony between ourselves and the universe we inhabit. The monument stands as testimony to the sophistication of our ancestors' understanding of both sound and sky, and to their remarkable ability to encode this understanding in stone in ways that continue to inspire and instruct us today. As you drift towards sleep, imagine yourself standing among those ancient stones on a night when the moon is full and the acoustic properties of the monument are at their most pronounced. Feel the way your voice resonates among the trilithons, how the stones seem to amplify and enhance every sound. Look up at the star-filled sky and recognize the same patterns that guided the monument's builders in their careful observations and calculations. In that imagined moment, the boundary between past and present dissolves, and you become part of the continuing story of human wonder at the mysteries of sound and sky. Stonehenge remains what it has always been, a testament to our species' determination to find meaning and pattern in the natural world, using all our senses to decode the secrets of the cosmos. The stones have kept their secrets for 5,000 years, but slowly, patiently, modern science is learning to listen to what they have to tell us. In their acoustic properties and astronomical alignments, we find evidence of minds as curious and capable as our own, people who looked at the same stars we see and asked the same fundamental questions about our place in the universe. Tonight, as you rest peacefully in your bed, those ancient stones continue their eternal watch over Salisbury Plain, still marking the passage of the seasons, still creating their subtle acoustic effects when the wind blows just right across their weathered surfaces. They stand as silent witnesses to the enduring human quest to understand the relationship between earth and sky, between sound and cosmos, between the fleeting moment of human consciousness and the eternal patterns that govern all existence. In the end, perhaps the greatest achievement of Stonehenge's builders was not the monument itself, impressive as it remains, but their demonstration that human beings are capable of thinking and planning on cosmic scales, of creating works that connect the immediate needs of daily life with the vast cycles of celestial time. They showed that we are not merely passive observers of the universe's grandeur, but active participants in its unfolding patterns, capable of using sound and stone to create instruments of understanding that can last for millennia. And so Stonehenge continues to inspire us, not just as an archaeological curiosity or tourist destination, but as a reminder of what human beings can accomplish when they combine careful observation of the natural world with the determination to understand and celebrate the cosmos of which we are all part. The monument stands as proof that the boundary between science and art, between practical knowledge and spiritual experience, is far more porous than we sometimes imagine, and that the greatest human achievements often occur when we learn to harmonize all our capabilities in service of understanding the world around us. The legacy of Stonehenge extends far beyond its immediate archaeological significance, rippling through time to influence countless generations of builders, astronomers, and musicians. Across the British Isles and throughout Europe, Other stone circles rose in the centuries following Stonehenge's completion, many incorporating similar acoustic and astronomical principles. Avebury, just 20 miles north of Stonehenge, represents perhaps the most ambitious expansion of these ideas, with its massive stone circle encompassing an entire village and creating acoustic effects on an even grander scale. The builders of these later monuments clearly understood the principles pioneered at Stonehenge. At the Ring of Brodgar in Orkney, Scotland's ancient stone circle demonstrates comparable astronomical alignments combined with remarkable acoustic properties. When archaeologists tested the site's sound characteristics, they discovered that the circle creates distinct acoustic zones, with different areas optimized for different types of vocal performance. Some positions within the ring amplify whispered words, while others enhance normal speech or singing. These discoveries suggest that the knowledge encoded in Stonehenge was not lost with its builders, but transmitted across generations and geographic boundaries. A network of acoustic and astronomical monuments spread across prehistoric Europe, each one adapted to local conditions while maintaining core principles of sound manipulation and celestial observation. The builders of these sites clearly formed part of a sophisticated knowledge tradition that combined empirical observation with artistic expression. Recent archaeological work has revealed that this tradition was even more extensive than previously imagined. Stone circles in Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England show evidence of careful acoustic design, with specific attention paid to how sound behaves within their boundaries. Many sites demonstrate understanding of advanced acoustic principles, including the use of resonant frequencies, echo control, and directional sound focusing. The Carnac alignments in Brittany, France, represent perhaps the most ambitious acoustic landscape ever created in prehistoric Europe. These vast rows of standing stones, stretching for miles across the countryside, appear to have been designed as acoustic pathways that could carry sound over enormous distances. Walking among the alignments today, visitors often report hearing voices and sounds from directions where no visible source exists, suggesting that the stones continue to channel and redirect acoustic energy in ways their builders intended. Archaeological investigations at Carnac have revealed sophisticated understanding of how stone arrangements can be used to create acoustic illusions and effects. Certain positions within the alignments create natural amplification zones where normal speech becomes audible hundreds of meters away. Other locations produce echo effects that make single voices sound like multiple speakers. The builders clearly understood how to use the landscape itself as a massive acoustic instrument. These discoveries have profound implications for our understanding of prehistoric communication systems. Before the development of written language, the accurate transmission of complex information over long distances required sophisticated acoustic technologies. The stone monuments of prehistoric Europe may have functioned as a continental-scale communication network, allowing knowledge to be preserved and shared across vast distances through carefully orchestrated acoustic performances. The integration of astronomical and acoustic functions in these monuments suggests that prehistoric European cultures possessed unified theories of natural phenomena that connected sound, light, and cosmic motion. This holistic understanding of natural law may have been more sophisticated than the fragmented scientific disciplines that replaced it, where modern science divides phenomena into separate categories: physics, astronomy, biology. Prehistoric knowledge systems appear to have recognized fundamental connections between all aspects of natural experience. The decline of this integrated knowledge tradition coincides with major cultural transformations across prehistoric Europe. The rise of metallurgy, increased social stratification, and the development of warrior cultures gradually displaced the astronomer priests who had maintained the stone circle traditions. Bronze Age societies invested their resources in weapons and personal ornaments rather than massive stone monuments, suggesting fundamental changes in social priorities and worldviews. But elements of the ancient tradition persisted in various forms throughout later European history. Celtic Druids maintained knowledge of astronomical cycles and conducted ceremonies at stone circles well into the Roman period. Medieval church builders incorporated acoustic principles into cathedral design that clearly derive from prehistoric understanding of how stone structures can be used to manipulate sound. The great Gothic cathedrals represent in many ways the culmination of acoustic architectural traditions that began at sites like Stonehenge. The astronomical knowledge encoded in stone circles also survived in various disguised forms. Medieval calendars preserved accurate information about solar and lunar cycles that derives ultimately from prehistoric observations. Folk traditions maintained awareness of significant astronomical events, with local festivals and customs marking solstices, equinoxes, and other celestial phenomena that were first systematically observed at sites like Stonehenge. Even the apparent randomness of megalithic site distribution across the European landscape reveals underlying patterns when analyzed from acoustic and astronomical perspectives. Stone circles tend to be positioned in locations that optimize both celestial visibility and acoustic performance. Many sites occupy elevated positions that provide clear horizon views for astronomical observation while creating natural amphitheaters that enhance sound projection. The relationship between these sites and the broader landscape often involves acoustic considerations that are only now being recognized. Valleys, hillsides, and water features were incorporated into site planning in ways that created large-scale acoustic effects. The positions of stone circles relative to each other sometimes form acoustic networks that could facilitate long-distance communication through coordinated sound signals. Dr. Aaron Watson, an archaeologist who specializes in the acoustic properties of prehistoric monuments, has conducted extensive fieldwork documenting these landscape-scale acoustic effects. His research reveals that many stone circle sites were chosen specifically for their acoustic properties, with builders demonstrating sophisticated understanding of how topography affects sound transmission. Hills, valleys, and bodies of water were used as natural acoustic elements in monument design, extending the effective acoustic range far beyond the immediate vicinity of the stone circles themselves. This landscape-scale approach to acoustic design suggests that prehistoric Europeans thought about sound in fundamentally different ways than modern people do. Where we tend to think of sound as something that originates from discrete sources and diminishes with distance, prehistoric peoples appear to have understood sound as something that could be shaped, directed, and amplified through careful manipulation of the environment. They created acoustic landscapes that turned entire regions into resonant instruments. The implications of this understanding extend beyond archaeology into contemporary fields like environmental psychology and acoustic ecology. Modern research has shown that acoustic environments profoundly affect human consciousness, influencing everything from emotional states to cognitive performance. The builders of Stonehenge and related monuments may have understood these effects intuitively, creating acoustic environments specifically designed to induce particular psychological states conducive to learning, worship, or community bonding. Contemporary visitors to well-preserved stone circles often report profound emotional responses that seem disproportionate to the visual impact of the monuments alone. These experiences may result from the same acoustic effects that the monument's builders intended to create. The stones continue to shape sound waves in ways that influence human consciousness, creating acoustic environments that feel somehow different from ordinary outdoor spaces. Sleep research has revealed fascinating connections between acoustic environments and the human brain's capacity for memory consolidation and creative insight. The specific acoustic properties found at stone circles, including enhanced speech clarity, reduced background noise, and carefully controlled reverberation, create ideal conditions for the types of focused attention and relaxed awareness that facilitate learning and memory formation. The builders of these monuments may have understood that certain acoustic environments enhance the brain's capacity to absorb and retain complex information. This insight helps explain how prehistoric cultures were able to maintain accurate astronomical knowledge across many generations without written records. The acoustic properties of stone circles would have created optimal conditions for the oral transmission of complex information, making it easier for students to memorize detailed astronomical observations and mathematical relationships. The monuments themselves functioned as memory palaces, with their acoustic properties serving as mnemonic aids that helped preserve knowledge across centuries. The mathematical relationships encoded in Stonehenge's design suggest that its builders possessed sophisticated understanding of geometry, proportion, and numerical relationships that rivals achievements of classical antiquity. The monument's dimensions incorporate multiple mathematical constants, including approximations of pi and relationships based on celestial cycles. These mathematical principles appear to be integrated with the monument's acoustic properties, suggesting that prehistoric mathematicians understood connections between numerical relationships and sound phenomena. Modern acoustic engineering has revealed that many of the mathematical relationships found in music also govern how sound behaves in architectural spaces. The builders of Stonehenge appear to have understood these connections intuitively, creating a monument where mathematical harmony, acoustic beauty, and astronomical accuracy reinforced each other. The monument represents one of humanity's earliest attempts to create a unified theory of natural phenomena based on mathematical principles. The precision required to achieve these multiple layers of integration suggests that Stonehenge's builders worked from detailed plans that took decades or even centuries to develop. The monument could not have been created through trial and error or casual experimentation. Its design required systematic observation, careful calculation, and sophisticated understanding of relationships between mathematics, astronomy, and acoustics. Archaeological evidence supports this interpretation. The discovery of measuring devices, geometric tools, and astronomical instruments at various Neolithic sites suggests that prehistoric Europeans possessed sophisticated technologies for precise measurement and calculation. These tools would have been essential for creating monuments like Stonehenge, where tiny errors in positioning or proportion could have destroyed the acoustic and astronomical effects that the builders were trying to achieve. The social organization required to create such monuments implies the existence of specialist classes dedicated to maintaining and developing technical knowledge. These prehistoric scientists combined the roles of astronomer, mathematician, engineer, and musician in ways that our modern specialized academic disciplines make difficult to imagine. They were Renaissance figures working 4,000 years before the Renaissance, combining multiple domains of knowledge in pursuit of comprehensive understanding of natural phenomena. The workshops and schools where these specialists trained would have been remarkable institutions, combining theoretical instruction with practical experience in ways that produced graduates capable of designing and building monuments like Stonehenge. Archaeological evidence suggests that some stone circle sites may have functioned as educational centers where knowledge was transmitted across generations through combinations of acoustic performance, astronomical observation, and hands-on construction experience. The international character of megalithic culture suggests that these educational networks extended across vast distances. Similarities in design principles, construction techniques, and astronomical alignments found at sites separated by hundreds of miles indicate regular communication and knowledge exchange between different regional traditions. Stonehenge was not an isolated achievement, but part of a continental-scale scientific culture that maintained consistent standards and shared discoveries across linguistic and ethnic boundaries. This prehistoric scientific culture appears to have been remarkably egalitarian in some respects. While the knowledge required to design monuments like Stonehenge was clearly specialized, the monuments themselves were designed to make that knowledge accessible to entire communities. The acoustic properties that enhanced speech and music within stone circles allowed large numbers of people to participate in astronomical ceremonies and educational events. Knowledge was not hoarded by elite classes, but shared through carefully designed public spaces. The ceremonial use of these monuments would have created powerful collective experiences that reinforced community solidarity while transmitting technical knowledge. Imagine gatherings of hundreds or thousands of people within the acoustic embrace of a stone circle, participating in synchronized chanting or singing while observing significant astronomical events. These would have been occasions when scientific observation, artistic expression, and social bonding reinforced each other, creating memorable experiences that ensured the preservation and transmission of important cultural knowledge. The seasonal cycle of ceremonies at sites like Stonehenge would have provided regular opportunities for these community gatherings. Each solstice and equinox would have brought people together for celebrations that combined astronomical observation with musical performance, creating an annual rhythm of shared experiences that maintained social cohesion while reinforcing awareness of cosmic cycles. Archaeological evidence suggests that these gatherings drew participants from across wide regions. The discovery of artifacts from distant sources at stone circle sites indicates that the monuments functioned as regional centers that attracted visitors from hundreds of miles away. These pilgrimage journeys would have facilitated cultural exchange and knowledge sharing, creating networks of communication that spanned prehistoric Europe. The hospitality infrastructure required to support these gatherings would have been considerable. Temporary housing, food preparation, and waste management for thousands of visitors would have required sophisticated organizational capabilities. Archaeological investigations around major stone circle sites have revealed evidence of these support systems, including seasonal structures, storage facilities, and specialized areas for different activities. The economic impact of these gatherings would have been substantial, creating incentives for local communities to maintain and enhance their monuments. Successful ceremonial centers would have attracted regular visitors who brought trade goods, new technologies, and cultural innovations. The acoustic and astronomical sophistication of sites like Stonehenge may have been driven partly by competition between different regions to create the most impressive and effective ceremonial venues. This economic dimension helps explain the remarkable longevity of stone circle traditions. Communities that invested in maintaining their monuments would have enjoyed continuous benefits from the regional gatherings they hosted. The acoustic and astronomical functions of the monuments ensured their continued relevance across many generations, providing practical services that justified the ongoing investment of resources required for maintenance and enhancement. The gradual abandonment of stone circle traditions across prehistoric Europe reflects broader economic and social changes that reduced the importance of these communal gathering places. The rise of metallurgy created new forms of wealth that could be accumulated by individuals rather than communities. Warrior cultures that emerged during the Bronze Age prioritized military prowess over astronomical knowledge. Social stratification increased, reducing the egalitarian traditions that had made stone circles accessible to entire communities. But the knowledge and techniques developed by the builders of Stonehenge continued to influence European culture in subtle ways. Medieval cathedral builders incorporated acoustic principles that clearly derive from megalithic traditions. Renaissance architects rediscovered mathematical relationships that had first been explored by prehistoric monument builders. Even modern concert hall design employs acoustic principles that were pioneered at sites like Stonehenge. The scientific revolution of the 17th and 18th centuries involved, in many ways, the rediscovery of knowledge that had been encoded in stone monuments thousands of years earlier. Astronomers like Johannes Kepler and Isaac Newton developed mathematical descriptions of celestial mechanics that prehistoric observers had understood empirically. Acoustic engineers like Hermann von Helmholtz quantified relationships between sound and architecture that megalithic builders had mastered through practical experience. As sleep takes you, let the rhythmic patterns of your own breathing remind you of the great cosmic rhythms that Stonehenge was built to observe and celebrate. Your heartbeat echoes the pulsing of stars. Your dreams participate in the same creative forces that move planets in their orbits. The builders of Stonehenge understood this deep connection between human life and cosmic order, and they created their monument as a place where that connection could be experienced directly through the integration of sound and astronomical observation. Rest now, knowing that you are part of the same universe that inspired those ancient builders, subject to the same natural laws that govern the movements of sun and moon, connected by the same fundamental patterns that link the smallest vibrations of sound waves to the grandest cycles of celestial motion. In your dreams tonight, perhaps you will hear the stones singing their ancient songs, marking time as they have for 50 centuries, waiting patiently for humanity to fully understand the profound wisdom encoded in their acoustic and astronomical design.